Oh, I'm so excited. Welcome to my fall TBR video. You guys are all witnessing my serotonin levels rise in real time. Yes, they do crash and burn as soon as Halloween is over. Okay, everything does crash and burn as soon as Halloween is over, but we don't have to think about that yet. Today we're going to talk about all of the books that I want to read this fall over the next few months. I want dark, I want spooky, I want cozy. I am just doing everything I can to squeeze the juices out of this time of the year. I'm in a cozy hoodie. We're drinking a pumpkin cream cold brew. Yes, I know it looks like milk. I don't really know what happened. I was messing around with the customizations on the app. I got a pumpkin cream cold brew, but I added chai and I added some oat milk and it came out like this. I don't taste the coffee, but we're still gonna drink it. Now, I do have these books divided into a couple of different categories. I have some new releases, some new books that are coming out over the next 2 months that I really want to read. We have dark academia, we have horror, we have some cozy reads, and I do have some fantasy. I think we're gonna start with dark academia. I feel like this genre is just the pinnacle of the fall and winter months. And this is also a genre that I have some serious catching up to do in. You're not gonna get any new recommendations from this section. These books are all really popular. You've probably already read them, but I haven't. And that's why this is my TBR video. The first book I have is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I got this months and months and months ago. I think I honestly even got it last year, in the year of 2022. But I made the decision to save it for these fall months. First and foremost, this cover eats. I've said it once, I'll say it again. I am always going to judge a book by its cover. Book covers, unfortunately, are so important to me. Like, they will make or break whether or not I want to read a book. I will go out of my way to get certain book covers if it's not the version that I want it to be. And if I love a book cover, it will directly affect how much I like the book. Now that you all know that shallow little fact about me, I'm not even entirely sure what this is about. Looks like we have Yale, homicide, secret societies, occult practices. Honestly, it sounds like a great time. Next, I really want to read The Secret History by Donna Tartt. I don't have it yet. And now that I'm looking at these two together, they're seeming very similar to each other. All I know about this book is from the synopsis, and it looks like, again, we are having Ivy League students getting up to some very suspicious and shady underground business. Again, this is another really popular one, so that's all I'm going to say about it. Now, I really hope I like Miss Donna Tartt's writing because I also have The Goldfinch. I don't think that this is necessarily dark academia. It's just when I think of Donna Tartt, I think of dark academia, but I also know nothing because I have not read a single one of her books. You will see this as a very common theme where I tend to make decisions based on nothing. I don't actually know what I'm talking about, but at the same time, I still believe what I'm saying. Honestly, I love not knowing things. It's really peaceful. Also, just look at the size of this book. For reference, I don't know if I just have a small head, but this is a large book. And look how floppy she is. This is amazing. Honestly, I love the composition of this book. It is huge, it's tall, it's floppy. Like, the fact that it is this big of a book, that doesn't intimidate me. Like, I love it. I'm so happy that I have this physical book in my hands because it feels so good. Who likes a stiff book? Not me. The last book I have in this little dark academia category is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I'm actually reading this right now and I'm almost done with it. I'm 300 pages in. I don't know why I put this in this category because there's no academia happening, but I really like this book. Like, this has the potential to be a 5-star read for me. You guys probably already know, but this is about a girl named Addie, and she has basically been cursed to be forgotten by everybody she knows and everybody she's gonna meet. Like, her parents don't remember her. She shows up at her own house and they're like, who is this stranger? And when I tell you, this was probably one of my greatest fears when I was younger. Like my entire family, everyone I know, primarily my parents, I was just so terrified that they were gonna forget who I was and like kick me out of their house. Probably one of the many indicators of the raging undiagnosed anxiety that I had as a child. But now we're medicated, so we're fine. She's cursed to be forgotten. She has a super long life. She's like 300 years old. Like I said, I am really loving this so far. This is also my first V.E. Schwab book, but I think the writing is beautiful. I have so many quotes underlined already, and I am terrified to see how this is going to end. Moving to fantasy, I surprisingly don't have very many, but one of the first fantasy books that I must read is... I don't have it with me yet, but I'm finally gonna do it. I am finally gonna read Fourth Wing. I have avoided reading this book for so long now, and I honestly don't even know why. Fantasy has always been like my primary genre. It is what I've been reading the longest. It's what I am the most familiar with. Obviously, since starting all of this, I have found and explored so many new genres, so many new types of books that I honestly don't think I ever would have read if I hadn't gotten involved in book talk and booktube. But fantasy will always just feel like my home genre. I love being immersed in a completely different world, being as far removed from reality as possible, magical creatures, dragons. I don't know why I haven't read this book yet, because it seems like it is going to be everything that I love in a fantasy book. People are also saying that it is very reminiscent of like that 2012 dystopian Divergent era, which I'm also all about. There's just been so much hype and so much talk around this book, and it's very polarizing. People are either absolutely obsessed with this, but I've also seen so much hate and so much criticism surrounding this book. I finally need to do it, and we'll just have to see. Although I do feel like I am going to be one of the people that loves it. So next in this category, I have Red Rising by Pierce Brown. This is obviously more like sci-fi dystopian than it is fantasy, and I didn't think I was gonna end up reading this because I definitely prefer more fantasy with sprinkles of sci-fi dystopian than the other way around. But I saw Athena talking about this on TikTok, and she just piqued my interest. This is about a future society where people are separated into like these different hierarchies. There's like reds and golds. I don't know if there are any other colors, but the reds are at the very bottom. And apparently they live on Mars. And here's the thing, I have absolutely no interest in what is going on in space. Like what they're doing up there is none of my business. If Elon Musk came up to me, I would probably run away. But if he came up to me and he was like, hey, do you want to go to space? Do you want to go to Mars? I would tell him no. No, thank you. It's just not for me, but I will read about it. Next, I have these. I have never read the Twilight series. Now, these are my mom's books. She is a huge reader, and she is 100% the reason that I also love to read. She was reading these as they were coming out. She was going to see the movies in the movie theater as those were coming out. She was there for the hype of it all, and she did not take me with her. I remember when I first attempted to read Twilight, I don't remember how old I was, but apparently I was not old enough because Jennifer snatched this from me. She took this book and hid it from me because she didn't think it was appropriate. And for that reason, because of her direct interference, I have never read the entire series. I've never read the books. Also, I don't want you to think that I grew up like sheltered or anything, because I didn't. That was really the only time that she ever censored me, so to speak. I did not grow up sheltered. SpongeBob was on in my house 24/7. Okay, let's move on to horror. Of course, I read horror books year round, but obviously it's gonna hit different in fall. It's gonna hit different in October. First up, I have Final Girls by Riley Sager. This one's probably more thriller than horror, but I got this a few months ago. I started to read it. I read the first couple of pages, and then I saw that it takes place during October and during Halloween, so I figured I should probably save it. But this is about a woman who survives a massacre in college. She goes on a trip with 5 of her friends. She's the only one to make it home. Now it's 10 years later. She is a part of this group, this support group called the Final Girls, of course, with other Final Girls. And stuff starts happening to them. I think this is just gonna be perfect for fall and Halloween. I'll probably save this one for October. Just like those classic slasher movies like Halloween, Scream, the concept of a final girl, it is all just so iconic and perfect for this time of year. This next one I am so excited for, and I've had it on my TBR for so long, but again, I was saving it specifically for this time of year, and that is Slewfoot by Brom. This takes place in colonial New England, so like Pilgrims, the colonizers, Puritans, Salem witch trials, that type of vibe. Our main character is an outcast widow. She befriends a demon named Slewfoot in order to take down all of the mean, puritanical white men of the village. Just girly things. I've seen people describe this as cozy horror. I think it's a little more like lighthearted and fun than your traditional horror book, and I'm so excited to read this. I love the concept of this book. Also, the book itself is just so cool. There are like these pictures of his artwork in the book, and also there are just like so many little details of like the chapter headings, the page numbers, the paragraph breaks. There are all these little details. This physical book is just really, really cool. Next, I have The Silent Companions by Laura Purcell. Now this is like a Victorian Gothic horror novel. It takes place in the late 1800s. Our main character Elsie is also newly widowed. She's pregnant, and so she moves to her late husband's country estate to see out the rest of her pregnancy. And at this estate, she finds this wooden doll that looks exactly like her, and everyone in the estate is really scared of it. So I don't know too much else about this book, but I think it's going to be really creepy, really spooky, and really good for right around Halloween. I also want to read Clown in a Cornfield by Adam Cesare. I think this is actually YA. It's like a small town, like teen scream horror story about a killer clown, and I think it takes place in Missouri, hence the corn. Everyone is saying that this has great fall vibes, again, like spooky, great for around Halloween. I think this also might be like a little bit humorous, a little bit campy, and I love campy horror. Also, Clown in a Cornfield just sounds terrifying. Like, this is also another fear of mine. I love a good corn maze for fall time, but add a clown into the mix and we're not going to do so well. I love watching scary movies. I love reading scary books. Like, I love ingesting horror and scary content, but do not take me anywhere near a haunted house, a haunted corn maze, a haunted hayride. I just want to observe. I love to observe scary situations, but I do not like to participate. Another campy fun horror book that I want to read this fall is My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. This one is giving like your classic 80s, 90s like horror film. It does take place in the 80s. This is about two best friends, and the one friend believes that the other is possessed. Now, Grady Hendrix writes more humorous horror, so I think this is just going to be a fun little girly pop time, you know? Just the girls being girls. And then lastly, in our horror category, I also want to read Mary, An Awakening of Terror by Nat Cassidy. I don't know exactly what the plot of this one is, but I'm pretty sure we have ghosts, we have murder, a serial killer, an unhinged woman as our main character, and those are some of my favorite things. I've just seen so many good things about this book, and this is another one that I've had on my TBR for months and months and months and months. So now's the perfect time to read it. Next up, I have a couple cozy fall reads, and I think that this is going to be my favorite type of book to read this fall because the priority is the vibes. Yes, I want to be spooked. Yes, I want to be thrilled, but most of all, I want to be comfy and cozy. So first I have The Ex-Hex by Erin Sterling. This is in every single fall book recommendations video. So I have such high expectations for the vibes of this book. This is like a Halloween witch romance. I think it's set in a small town. So I am just really, really expecting all of those like cute, comfy fall vibes. Honestly, why are there not more rom-coms set in fall and Halloween? Like, we have so many cute romances. They're mostly like summertime. I guess there's a lot of like Christmas ones. Where are all the fall ones? Like, there's so much material there to work with. In that same little category, I also want to read The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. This is another one that people are recommending nonstop for fall. This is about a ghostwriter and her editor, and I guess the editor dies and comes back as a ghost to make sure that this author finishes the book. And I guess there's also a little bit of a romance between the two, which I don't know how that's going to work, because when a ghost and a human being get together, they create the Antichrist. Well, at least in American Horror Story. Speaking of, we're going on a tangent, I used to love American Horror Story. That used to be one of my favorite shows. I was obsessed with Evan Peters. Nothing hits like those first few seasons. Asylum, Coven, Freak Show. Those are some of my favorites. Like, nothing will be done like those. Obviously, it is not the same anymore, and I really haven't even watched the most recent seasons of it. But I might have to tune back in this season because what is Kim Kardashian doing there? Like, I might actually watch this new season because I cannot wrap my head around Kim Kardashian being in American Horror Story. Last but not least, we have our new release category. These are some of the books that I am most excited for in the entire year of 2023. There are quite a few coming out, and I guess we'll just go in chronological order of when they're coming out. Hold on. Coming out first, actually in a couple of days, is Rouge by Mona Awad. I'm so excited for this one. She also wrote Bunny. I've talked about it too many times on this channel. One of my favorite books of the year. This one is described as a horror-tinted gothic fairy tale. Like, you already got me there. I think this is somewhat of a twist on Beauty and the Beast, and I don't really know how to describe it, so I'm just gonna read the synopsis real quick. This says, for as long as she can remember, Belle has been insidiously obsessed with her skin and skincare videos. When her estranged mother, Noelle, mysteriously dies, Belle finds herself back in Southern California, dealing with her mother's considerable debts and grappling with lingering questions about her death. The stakes escalate when a strange woman in red appears at the funeral, offering a tantalizing clue about her mother's demise, followed by a cryptic video about a transformative spa experience. With the help of a pair of red shoes, Belle is lured into the barbed embrace of La Maison des Musées. That's not right. La Maison des Méduses. The same lavish culty spa to which her mother was devoted. There, Belle discovers the frightening secret behind her and her mother's obsession with the mirror and the great shimmering depths and demons that lurk on the other side of the glass. I'm just so excited. Okay, this is saying Snow White meets Eyed Wide Shut, so maybe it's not Beauty and the Beast, maybe it's Snow White, maybe it's a mix of the two. I don't really know, but I'm really, really excited. I just love weird books, and it looks like we're gonna get some deeper messages about women and beauty standards and aging, but all just like packaged in this weird and twisted way. Oh, I'm so excited. And that comes out September 12th. And then coming out next is The Unfortunate Side Effects of Heartbreak and Magic, I think it's called. This is coming out September 19th. It's literally marketed for fans of Gilmore Girls and Practical Magic, so immediately added it to my TBR. I think this is going to be similar to the X-Hex, where it's this cozy fall read about witches. All I really know, like the basic premise of this book, it's about this witch named Sadie, and in order for her to utilize her magical abilities, I think she has to go through like 4 different heartbreaks, kind of like a curse type thing, so we'll see. I'm excited for this one too. I'm gonna say that about every single one of these books, that I'm excited for them, and that's because I love to read, you guys. I'm just excited. I'm excited for books. That's why I'm here. And then coming out on October 3rd is Wildfire by Hannah Grace. This is the second book after Icebreaker, which I read earlier this year, and surprisingly, I liked it a lot. I think this is going to be one of those whole like interconnected standalone type things. This one is about Russ. He's one of the characters we met in Icebreaker. I think he's working as a summertime camp counselor. I don't know. I just thought Icebreaker was fun. It was a nice little like turn your brain off type of book. I liked Hannah Grace's writing, so I also don't know how many books there are supposed to be, but I really hope we get a book about Henry because he was my favorite character. And then lastly, you know what I'm gonna say, one of the books that I am the most excited for is A Curse for True Love by Stephanie Garber. This comes out October 24th, and this is the third and I'm pretty sure final book in the Once Upon a Broken Heart series. I really, really loved the first 2 books along with everyone else. I loved the magical world that Stephanie Garber created. I love Jax. And the way the second book ended on such a cliffhanger, I need this third book to repair all of the damage that the second book did. And if it doesn't, we are going to have some problems. But that actually wraps up my fall TBR. Obviously, this is not like a concrete list of all of the books that I'll read over the next few months. Of course, I'm gonna read others that I haven't mentioned that I probably don't even know that I'm gonna wanna read, but these are the ones that are just like of primary importance to me. These are at the top of my list. Of course, you will see most of these in videos, in reading vlogs, so you will see all my thoughts and opinions. Also, let me know what is on your fall TBR if you are planning on reading any of these same books. We can read them together. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you decided to stick around, and I'll see you in the next one.